Yeah, baby, you know what time it is. Now let's get it started.
Are you kidding me? Unreal!
While our HBCUs are mostly known for academic rigor, community, they also know how to turn up.
Does he have it? Yes, he does! And that might be the knockout punch.
Greetings, salutations. Another episode of Fangs up here. And man, first home games underway. But before we get all that started, let's go ahead and say it. HBCU Digital Network, this is home to Herb Stewart and the Black Techies. Also home to the Fangs Up podcast, man. So I'm ready for Saturday. I cannot wait to get in Bragg. Bragg feels like a second home. Just personally, you know, I grew up in and around Florida Indian University, but especially that stadium. I probably spent more time there than I spent a lot of other places. Not church, but a lot of other places. But today, man, Bragg looks different. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. It's kind of some of the things that going on around there, going on campus. Also, we're gonna look at this cross country thing, and we're gonna look at this basketball schedule. Like we're gonna look through the basketball schedule and kind of point out some games that you absolutely, definitely need to pay attention to. But first, FAMU cross country is gonna be out there, out and about doing a thug thizzle. So Mountain Dew Invitationals tomorrow. Hopefully, they do a little something, make a little noise. Season is approaching. You know, it's apex. So cross country doesn't last forever. One of those sports kind of first start, first to end. So yeah, man, already. Also, FAMU basketball. FAMU basketball is here. My microphone's working today. I don't know what it was doing last episode. I do apologize for that. But I got the backup ready. I didn't plug in the hardwire one, but if so, I'll run something. we're gonna make that work. But FAMU basketball dropped the schedule, and I've already got some questions about what games I'm going to from one of my homeboys. But we got some heavyweights. Creighton University basketball powerhouse, the Blue Jays, and look, whoever scheduled that trip, smart. Creighton's in Omaha, Nebraska. A few days later, University of Nebraska. Then we play my least favorite agricultural school in the state of Florida, the University of Florida. That's on a Tuesday. Side jokes, but at the same point, that is going to be at. It's not the O'Connell Center anymore, but if you know, you know. I think it's like some XL, something crazy like that center. But that game's going to be there. Then November 20th, huge home game. That needs to be a special event game. The University of Oregon is going to travel to play FAMU at Lawson. We need the 100 there for that. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. Like, don't do this thing like we got with the USF game. Like, we need the 100 there. Like, I understand what USF why that happened. They're not part of the athletic budget, but this one, we need y'all there. It is a Monday night at the Al Lawson Center. Need that. Then, you know, we got Lemoyne Owen. That's a winnable. Hopefully, we almost lost to Albany State the other game, other year. We got Iowa and Iowa State. And remember, FAMU versus Iowa State. Look, that's got some potential. Then they're going to come down here to the crib, well, my crib, play UCF or Orlando at the basketball arena over there. I think it's the Spectrum Center. Could not be. Also, University of South Carolina is going to end up non-conference play before we jump into the schedule. And Swag, please help me with this. Help me with this scheduling because it's lazy. Can we stop getting FAMU versus BCU as the first conference game of the season? This is stupid. Like January 6th, it's a Saturday. I'm not going to do that. But This game's going to be huge. But FAMU plays Cookman. Now, we know next year you're going to flip that back, and that's going to be – stop it. Can we play that game when FAMU or Cookman have students on campus? Like, can we switch that with the Arkansas Pine Bluff game? Just asking for a friend. Just asking for a friend. I will actually show it to you so you can believe me. Y'all know I don't like lying to people. So this is on the basketball schedule. So make me small, make it large. So first conference game of the season is against Cookman. Stop it. Nobody came to that game last year. And that game could have been so much of a better atmosphere. At times in the past, the 100 and the Marching Wildcats would actually travel for the basketball game. Fix it, Felix. Like, stop it. Move that game, because I know you're just flipping the schedule down to where this Arkansas Pine Bluff game is. If you're in the SWAC, or you know someone in the SWAC, do me that favor. Now, the rest of the schedule, basketball-wise, I don't care about. It's SWAC play. SWAC ain't a dominant basketball game. But I do like that we end the season with Cookman. I love that. I want that. That's a great way to end the season. But please, for the love of everything, stop having FAMU play Bethune-Cookman week 1 in January when no students are on campus. Move that further down in the schedule. Just saying, it makes a lot more sense. You're going to make more money, because I'm just telling you, FAMU fans en masse are not coming to watch the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. We're going to watch Cookman, though. Love it or shove it. And guess what? The Cookmanites are going to come too. All like the ones that are close. I stopped myself from being petty. Mama, you be proud of me. But we got the basketball schedule out for the men's team. Women's team, 2 eyes. No basketball schedule. So that's the men's schedule. But November 20th is the big game that I'm definitely circling. I might try to make that trip. I ain't gonna make no promises, but that we'll see. Because that's just a great experience, great opportunity. It's just something great, and it should be some type of incentive to really encourage the students to come out for that particular night. Now, on Saturday, the Argonauts of West Florida are coming to Bragg, and Bragg looks very different. Look, we got the field renamed. So when you look in the middle of the field, it's going to say Ken Riley Field. When you look at the scoreboard, not the 32-inch TV. I'm making fun of some people like my man Earl. But we ain't got the 32-inch TV no more. We got a big boy video board. And it looks nice. It actually says, I think it says Florida A&M University at the top, something like that, or FAMU Rattlers. And then at the bottom, it does say Ken Riley Field. And again, on the field, it says Ken Riley Field. And we got the ribbon boards up there. So if you don't believe me, go check out Kelvin from ONG Strike Zone on Twitter. He's been bringing some updated pictures. Don't forget the parking lot got renovated. It got redone. So looks like we won't have any more potholes in the parking lot. Like, look, it was fun making fun of Jackson State for some of y'all, but look, I made sure I didn't make jokes about potholes because, yeah, I knew what the parking lot looked like at my university. I wasn't in no place to talk no trash. But we also saw where it just looks like it's a new stadium for the most part. So next thing, hopefully, AD Sykes get the $8 million. See if I will hit these numbers. No, I didn't win. So you won't be getting $8 million from me. But look, if I hit the numbers, AD Sykes, I'd have you back. I had your back. We'd be down like 4 flat tires. I promise you. If I'd hit that Powerball last night, I'd have had you. But I didn't. So, but West Florida is the opponent on Saturday. And the big thing with West Florida, their coach, he's not really new to this. He's true to this. I mean, this is his first year as the head coach stuff. But when he was at West Florida previously, they did win a championship. He was offensive coordinator there. And they are very heavy as far as being able to bring in players from the transfer portal. Just go back and look at some of the players, look through their roster, and you're going to notice a lot of athletes that are bounce backs from Division One programs. I know one of them I know personally. You know, he's my football son, but they defensive back Brandon Cross. He committed to the University of Tennessee, played at Georgia Southern, and he actually played with Isaiah Major at Independence Community College. And he's not the only guy like that. Like you look through that roster, they have a few transfers from Troy, and you're able to see where this may be a Division II football team, but they have Division I talent. This team could easily join the SWAC and be in your top 4 or 5, like today. And I mean, they we just saw what Miles did. We just saw what Central State did. I think this team right now could join the Southwestern Athletic Conference and be the 4th or 5th best team in the conference at the worst. Like I'm saying, and I mean, some of these teams in the conference, they would walk the dog with because they have that pipeline, they have the access to the talent, and if they did move up, they would have the additional scholarships. So it would be interesting to see. They do play at an on-campus stadium now, though, so that has nothing to do with us. Just a fun fact: they used to play at a baseball stadium that overlooked the water, Blue Wahoo Stadium. They were sharing that with the minor league team, but stuff happens. But the big thing, these two offenses are similarly paced. Willie Simmons mentioned that in the previous week, FAMU ran about 60 plays per game going into the USF game. So really, in the OVC, we ran 60 plays. We were able to slow down South Florida. I think West Florida, I think the benefit of playing that game is you get used to another team that's going to play close to your tempo, but you're also playing against a team that you're somewhat familiar with. Coach Simmons mentioned in the 2020 club meeting or 220, however you want to say it, about how FAMU played a scrimmage against West Florida, in 2020. I know I mentioned that as well, but there's documented evidence to say and to see kind of what you may be getting into. And they were competitive against FAMU. Like it wasn't just FAMU dominating them. So it's going to be an interesting thing. The big thing about this, and we're seeing that they recently dropped the ticket prices. They have a $100 ticket special for family. Just saying, look, I saw Brother Swope at the game. I didn't get to really talk to him, but at the same point, he wasn't wrong about the tickets, especially in the northern section of the stadium. Like those northern corners of the stadium, those need to be $20 tickets all day because they're not going to sell. And I think I'm going to say that with no facts. This is irresponsible, baseless, speculative conspiracy. But them ticket sales for that first game was looking a little rough because for you to drop the price in half, because some of the tickets are like $20. And hopefully the message is sent and understood that charging a flat rate for all the Bragg ain't it. But that being what it is, you're going to see two offenses that are going to be similarly paced. So that's something where FAMU's just going to play their game. I don't think you really augment your game for this team, but look for that team to have something to prove. Like they got some hitters. Like, and I'm not trying to, touch some other hitters because I'm down for my hitters. No. They have dudes who can hit. Like I wasn't trying to use the N word and sneak that in under the cuffs. No. They have dudes that can hit, and they got a little bit of pop, and they got a little bit of what for to them, because some of these guys are guys they played against either high school or college or different levels. So the familiarity in this game is not going to be lost. Like some of these guys will have played against each other in previous stops, and at times may have been teammates. I mean, I just pointed out how one of their best corners played with our best linebacker, arguably. Argue with mom about if he's the best or not. But just that's where it is. But then again, their offense is high powered though. They're averaging 400 yards each game, and they do pass more than they run, but they're also averaging 35 points per game. Now the thing about this is, and Coach Simmons pointed out And he said this: West Florida played teams that weren't very good. Like, I mean, you take that for what you mean it or for what you want it to be, but it is what it is. Like when you're playing teams that are um, not that good, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. And in this case, we're able to see that West Florida played against two teams who weren't really good, one of which they traveled like 11 hours to play and whipped them. But again, you also got to contend with the fact that this is a pretty stingy defense. Now it's a fairly young defense, but they have D1 talent, and it's sprinkled across that team. You see a lot of transfers from top Division II programs, but again, Troy, Georgia Southern, but also they utilize access to the community college where you can get some of these guys who maybe play different other places and get some of them in there too. And I believe they had like a couple guys from North Dakota State, like some of those schools as well. So you're able to see where this team is actually probably better than you think they are. And one of the teams where even at the beginning of the season, before the season started, I pointed out this is one of my games that I circled as a yo, this could get scary. And this was a concern. Um, kind of looking at what I've seen FAMU on defense now, I'm not as concerned as I was 3 months ago, just because that defensive line, they like that. But now looking at what our offense can be, and to Coach Simmons' credit, he pointed this out again, the 220 meeting. Some of the receivers didn't run their routes the right way. Wasn't the only one to see that. I also felt like some of those receivers shouldn't have been running the routes they were running. Like I'm not terribly crazy when I say that I don't love people that are my height running certain routes. It's just saying. You got, Nick Dixon and some of those guys. We know Manning goes hurt, but you got some of those guys that are out there. And Coach Simmons pointed out this is the best receiving crew that we've had, and we saw kind of flashes from some guys. I'm just gonna say this could be a game where you can get out the tools and tune up a little bit and maybe put some of those guys that may be further in the depth chart in some of those positions. Like I'm looking at you, Gassett. I'm looking at him because no weird stuff, but he's a baller. Like that dude's got it. Get the ball in his hands, and he's a problem. Kelvin Dean's another one. I think he's an underutilized back, and I think he's underutilized because you have Yant, you have Jennings. Those are your bruisers. But man, throwing the ball to him out of the backfield is that's a nightmare waiting to happen. Leland Willoit, another one out of the backfield, a nightmare and a problem waiting to happen. And I think those are guys that really can help you stretch the defense. Also help when Moose is reading the defense, help give him some outlets. Because we're going to see moments where the offensive line is going to have issues. We did lose alignment for the season. Fractured foot was what was reported. We have another lineman that's kind of in and out due to sickness and illness and stuff. This is one of those games where, if I'm being honest, what I would love for us to see, 5 yards in a cloud of dust. I really would be here for it. If we can run the ball and can dominate the line of scrimmage, which I think FAMU can, this can be a game where by the fourth quarter, man, we over there getting pork chop sandwiches and, candy apples and talking about the turkey leg man opposed to sweating. Because this is one of those games where they're going to have something to prove. And the way we seem to rotate corners, this is a game where a busted coverage or two can cost you. And I think that's something we saw. We saw in the last game what happens when you have a completely busted coverage. But it's not a new thing because in the first game, Jackson State has a huge play on a busted coverage. So it's a trend. It's something that we're seeing. And one of the things that we have to do is adjust. And let's get into our keys in the game. Keys of the game. Keys of the game are going to be presented by Cable Busters TV. So who are you going to call? Cable Busters. NFL, NBA pay-per-view. Look, I ain't gonna speak ill on nobody, but look, I just got ESPN back. So 813-360-1902, cablebusterstv.com. I can tell you I don't have Cable Busters right now, but I'm about to get it. Me and the wife, you about to make that switch. But the keys to the game, you got to win the turnover battle. Like Willie Simmons said himself, and all of us who watched the game said it. 5 turnovers is way too many. And some of it was effort, some of it was poor ball placement, some of it was just it not being there. I mean, I give credit to where credit is due. Quarterback was trying to throw people on the bus. Man, he better than me. Because if some of y'all would have caught a fresh semi, like I'm just saying, it would have been what it was, and you would have been like, man, you threw me under the bus, and I'd be like, you wasn't running. So we can see that coming, but you got to win the turnover battle. And at this point in this game, until it gets to where you have a multi-score lead, I want to see the game played a little more conservatively. Just like with the OBC, I don't need any trick plays. I don't need no fancy stuff. Whip their tails and get out of there. That's what I really need. Let's celebrate after, shake hands, kiss babies, talk to friends we haven't seen in years, because I definitely will. But let's get in, get a win, and get out of there. Those are the main things we need to focus on. Also, limit big plays. Like one of the things FAMU has shown in the passing game is a willingness to give up big plays. And sometimes it's because the dude just falls down. Other times it's just because the dude gets lost in coverage. But we've seen in back-to-back games, so it's a trend, where deep balls can be a problem for some of our corners. And sometimes if you put the ball in the right place, it just is what it is. We also have seen, and this is something I was talking to my dad about right before the show, so I didn't get to get as fresh as I like to get. Like I like to be fresh. But he calls, it's pops. You only get one, so you got to love him while you got him. But one of the things I noticed, Coach Simmons was pointing out that West Florida did stuff that they had never done before that we didn't see on film. We got to adjust. That's something that's not an uncommon statement. That's not my first time hearing that. We have to make sure that when teams show us things that we're not used to seeing, that we come up with something. And I felt like at halftime we kind of adjusted, but we didn't adjust enough to really make it happen. But we saw it, and Coach Simmons pointed out, first drive, South Florida completely scraps their game plan and goes with something different. FAMU's got to be able to do the same. We have to be able to, when teams show us something that we're not used to seeing, that we can adjust and that we can maximize what this team can be. Otherwise, teams are going to come with that game plan. They're going to come in with, this is what we do. They're going to show it to you. When all those scripted plays happen, they're going to do what's on the script. And then when they realize it doesn't work, they change, they adjust. We don't. And it's going to be, well, we didn't see this on film. That's okay. But we've got to adjust to what they're doing in the game just a little better. And it's not a harsh critique. It's just, I've heard it again. And so now it's like, in hearing that, my thinking is, when we see things that we're not used to, how quickly are we adjusting? And that's just a self-scouting thing. And it's just, again, when this is the team you follow, and when you're constantly kind of following, you're going to hear and you're going to notice things. So I did notice that. We also got to play with discipline. Like, go back and watch the game. That first half, it wasn't that bad penalty-wise. The second half is where we got into the hundreds of yards. But the first half, we actually had fewer penalty yards in South Florida. West Florida had over 150 yards. I think it was like 156 yards in penalties last game. That's huge. That states that to me and shows that not that this team is undisciplined, but they're probably unsure of some of what they're doing. They could be undisciplined. You got a first-year coach. But at the same point, some of this means to me, West Florida is going to give up some penalties. You have to give up fewer penalties. And one of the big penalties that we had in the game were hands to the face. I know Willie Simmons is cool with living with that. Pisses me off. I'm not gonna lie. Like I get it, it's an effort penalty, but at the same point, it's a controllable penalty. And once you kind of start to realize you may have to change your target, you may have to change the strike zone where you're trying to hit someone, just to make sure that you avoid that penalty. Also, we got to win the line of scrimmage. Like that's huge. That's common sense. It's going to be the most oversaid thing in almost all of football that you have to win the line of scrimmage, but it is what it is. Like you got to do it. All right, moving right along. Lastly, you got to get an early lead. FAMU is different when we get a lead. Like even go to the South Florida game. We kind of got that early lead. We got a little confident, but then we got to continue to do what works and find what works. And we do realize one of the things that works against us is man coverage. I pointed that out. I was like, can we get off the jam? We did actually. Like we actually did a fairly good job of getting to our routes and like getting off the jam. We weren't just getting stuck at the line. It's not the Jackson State game from a few years ago. You know, it was nice to get that 18-foot win though. But FAMU's different when we get an early lead. Getting an early lead, we saw that in this year's Jackson State game. You know, the one where we won by 18. So that's something that we need to do again, though. Get an early lead, just so that if things go awry, you can just sit on the lead. And it's almost like a sleeper hold. Like you put somebody, all you gotta do is lean back and just hold it. And that's kind of what we need to do. Get a lead. You know, after you get a lead, then you do give me one or two cute plays. You want to run a reverse then when we up 2 touchdowns? I mean, I don't need it, but I'm not throwing stuff. Now we up 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns. You call them 2, 3 trick plays. I'm laughing at it. Because if you do throw a pick, it's like, okay, we gave up 1. Cool. But 10-7, man, don't be cute. Give me some hard-nosed football straight up. And like I said, get a lead early and keep a lead. Main thing is you're trying to put them away early and put them in a position where they're frantic, where they're making mistakes, because they are going to throw the ball more. But you have a secondary that can be dominant. And I don't like using that term because you already know why if you know me. Well, we have a secondary that can make you make mistakes. And a lot of it is because, as we pointed out, FAMU pretty much rushes with 4 defensive linemen. We depend on interior linemen to try to generate a double team and then let the outside linemen go one-on-one against tackles. We had a good amount of sacks against South Florida. I don't think it's going to be very different against West Florida. I think it's going to be one of those games where one of their linemen is going to have a good game. But you're going against a really solid defensive line at Florida A&M University, and that's going to be the difference in the game. FAMU's linebackers, they're going to linebacker. They're going to tackle. And Willie Simmons even said it. We don't really blitz with them. Told you that. Look, you can listen to the Fangs Up podcast, and I be scouting. I self-scout. But we don't really blitz a lot from the linebacker position. And at times, we did use our spies. This is a game where I don't think you're going to need the spy as much. You're probably going to be able to blitz 4, drop 7. Keep somebody in coverage over the middle. Then as the game goes on, you want to get a little freaky. Blitz from the corners, blitz from the safeties. Just throw some different stuff in there to make the quarterback uncomfortable. That's just me. I think like that. I like the blitz, and I love the fact that we are running a zone in this case because I think the fact they throw it so much, the windows are going to be tight. You have athletic corners, you have oversized safeties, linebackers that are fair size. They're not huge, but they're big enough to get the job done. This is a game where FAMU could really, it's either going to be sugar or feces. And, it's gonna be either one. It's gonna be either a game where by the end of the game you're up by 20 and you're like, I didn't expect to be up this much, or it's a nail biter and you over here like, WTF? What the freak is going on? Like, why is this game so close? This is a Division two team, first year head coach. How are they competing with us like this? So it's going to be really interesting to see just how this game plays out. And then the other part is the fan experience. Like, what's the attendance going to be like? We did a little over under with OSG as far as, what numbers did you have? It was funny. Like, Kelvin and I both came in about 15. Like, I'm thinking like 14, 15,000. Because Bragg can sit 20. But the thing is, you go to Ticketmaster, you still see a lot of open seats. You kind of see a late push to sell tickets. I mean, it kind of comes out this week. Respectfully, that probably should have been done a month or two ago. Still hearing some people are struggling to receive their tickets, and that's disheartening because at this point in the season, you would hope that everyone who did purchase tickets has gotten tickets, and then of course, the parking situation. Like, some people bought ticket packages that include parking, and they're like, "Where's my parking?" So it's an interesting time, and it's going to be really the AD's first time being tested under the metal as an AD for a home game. I think that's one of the things that I loved when we did the ONG Strike Zone and we kind of did the round table was she'll be judged by her first game, not so much of everything else. Because the compliance stuff, AD Sykes has gotten that under wraps. I mean, between her and um, Dr. Robinson, sorry, it was the Kofi behind me. I'm blaming Kofi. He had a switch, he had a belt, he was ready. um, but Dr. Robinson, they've actually improved. Like, I got to give credit where credit's due. The housing situation, we didn't have that this year, not like last year. The APR situation, as far as like the students being accredited and stuff like that, didn't have that issue. She came in to do what she needed to do there. Now, when this is the part that's a little different, how is AD Sykes going to do hosting her first home game? Not being there, we saw her there. Was that homecoming last year? She was there. Charlie Neal, all that. So her first game after pretty much being named at AD, Charlie Neal was there. Her first game, home game as AD, Charlie Neal's going to be there. Really interesting. It could be a cool story if you follow that and if you want to tell that. But that's going to be something to see. Like, how was the game produced? I ain't gonna say we all. I have seen when an AD has a game that's well structured. I've also seen when it's a cluster and it's like, yo, this don't look good. Hopefully, this is one that looks good. There are going to be some snafus. Again, it's your first time doing stuff. So it being your first time, I expect mistakes. I mean, look, I've delved into a first time position. I've made mistakes. So, and I appreciate those who are patient enough with me to understand that, yo, this is my first time. I'm still learning. I think you're gonna get a little bit of that. We do understand though. This is FAMU. We got standards. We like plies. I got standards. We got high standards at FAMU, and we're a tough crowd. We're a tough audience, and at the same point, if it's not done right, we are those people that I ain't doing this next year. So it's imperative that this first game goes off well and that this season goes well. And if it doesn't go perfect the first game, by the end of the season, it's made right. I think going forward, I'll make the suggestion, and I said it previously. Brother Swope said it similar. We should have different degrees of ticket packages. General admission for 80% of the stadium, that ain't it. So, what's up, family? Dwayne Sweet, I see you, good brother. What's up, man? But I'm just saying, I think especially the northern end zones, not the north end zone area where you have, the lobster and shrimp and the liquor, but the side areas, the north end zone sides, probably charge a little less money on those sides just because they don't normally fill up as much. Like, because one of the things, and I give credit where credit's due. Again, I graduated degree in history from FAMU. And so I'm gonna cite Kelvin Rozier on this one. And he said this at the OBC, not OBC, the game in Tampa last week. Sometimes you just got to get the people into the stadium. You got to get them through the gate and let them buy concessions. Like sometimes you got to have a movie theater mentality. Like one of the things about movie theaters, and I used to work at Challenger Center at Florida A&M. I was a FAMU employee. We didn't make any money off movie tickets, but concessions, man, I was busting you over the head. Like I ain't gonna lie. Like I brought some little penny candies in there. I was charging a quarter for them. And it was like, oh man, this don't add up. You know, it's you charging a quarter, it's little penny candies. And all of a sudden, they're like, your number is like, I told y'all, I did look, this costs 5 cents. I'm charging 25. I'm 5 timing it. Do I know how many tickets were sold? I do not. I don't know. Look, drops. If you got questions, definitely hit a brother up. FangsUpPodcast@gmail.com. Definitely ask. If I can, I'll ask. If it's a question I can ask, I'll definitely ask. But I don't know how many season tickets were sold. I do know that AD Sykes in the black though. So she did say that. I was late to the booster meeting earlier this week. I think that was Tuesday. So I can't tell you everything she said. I couldn't tell you everything she said anyway, but I was late to the meeting. So I missed a lot of what she said this week. But in previous meetings, she stated that she is in the black for the football season and that she's pretty much hit her mark for season tickets. So for me, my thing is, I'm gonna say it's like this for Bragg. I would like for Bragg to consistently have 17,000 per game, barring like hurricanes or whatever. But I would like for that to be our number. And season ticket wise, I would like us to hit about 10 to 15,000 on season tickets. Evening Rattler, why are you doing that? Look, all these beautiful Rattlers, all this beautiful orange and green. I love it. I love it. But that's going to be an interesting thing. If you have not gotten your tickets, your investing package, investing in champion stuff, look, reach out to the ticket office. Don't wait till the day of the game. Today is Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. I'm not trying to send y'all in droves, but at the same point, if you ain't got your stuff and you pay for your stuff, go get your stuff. Like call somebody and tell them. That was one of the things I did catch AD Sykes ask during the game, during the meeting. She was like, who don't have their tickets? So who hasn't got their stuff? So she was trying to check that, and she was trying to be accountable for that. So I'll give her credit where credit's due. I did kind of chide her a little bit on the sideline on Saturday, just like, yo, you pretty cool. Like, you know, I'm a paraphraser, but you're a pretty cool person. Like she's approachable, and she's willing to listen. So if you do have tickets issues, again, contact ticket office, and then make it known. Like, don't just drop it on social media and talk greasy about the situation. Like, let some of the powers that be know so that we can fix some of this, or they can fix it. I should say that. Also, I forgot to drop it in here. Look, you know what? I got my phone here. Y'all got to forgive me. Let me see. Let me go here. This is not good podcasting. But banners. Here we go. Brand. All right. So the boosters are going to have an event, and let me add it to the doodad here so I can hype it up. They're going to have a Rattler roundup, and they're going to be celebrating and trying to do something. So it's actually a joint initiative with the Rattler Boosters and the FAMU National Alumni Association. Tickets are $10. You're able to see us at the Holiday Inn at Appalachia Parkway. If you're not familiar, that's not too far from the Governor Square Mall. That's really on the east side of town. So east side of Tallahassee, Friday, September 15th, 6 to 10 p.m. You can see that they are having a cash bar, food, raffle tickets, and currently the Rattler Boosters get money by you making donations to them, but they're going to see if they can change some of that. The National Alumni Association gets money off of your donations. So if you're not familiar, shameless plug, I do help them on two of their social medias, both. So, I'd rather be honest and tell you a lie than make it seem like I'm doing something I'm not. So, but it's going to be interesting. Also, post game, after the game, I'll double check with Kelvin and Brian, but they are doing a post game instant reaction, and we're going to run that. As long as we have that going on, we're going to run that on the Fangs Up Twitter page, Fangs Up Facebook, Fangs Up YouTube page. I didn't ask for permission from HBCU Digital to run on their stuff, so I won't put it on their networks out of respect, just because they're two different networks. But we will be doing simulcast, supercast, where you're going to get two of the biggest FAMU followers and people with FAMU followings. We're going to come back together and we're going to do this post game, and we're going to do it on both Fangs Up and ONG Strike Zone's network. So, man, we're going to make it happen at post game. And then Sunday, we're going to do our post game reaction after I get back down here in the City Beautiful. But I will be leaving tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing y'all. I got to message Brian, see you ride with me or what? What's going on? So we family down here. I see another question. Do you know AD Sykes' email address? I don't. I ain't gonna lie to you on that one. If I did, I would have been had her on the show. I normally just I'll catch her in the meeting and ask her questions. Like, I don't ask her Fangs Up questions though. It's always like for the purpose of Rattler boosters, because honestly, when I'm there, I'm not here for this podcast. I'm here to help the Rattler boosters or the National Alumni Association. So, excuse me, I'm at some water. So, sorry. So I try to be respectful that the fact that they trust me enough to help with their social media, that I shouldn't be doing Fangs Up stuff during booster meetings. But when I hear stuff, I put it back here. And when it comes out later, or it's about to come out, I might let y'all know some stuff. Yeah. But no, I don't have a direct email. But if you can definitely send your stuff, and I'll see if I can get some answers for you. But yeah, man, it's what it is with that one though. Like, I'd rather tell you the truth than lie to you. So that being stated though, y'all, it's getting late. It's almost 9:00, man. We got to get ready. They are going to have a huge day tomorrow. Again, FAMU Athletics is getting ready to play the University of West Florida. Friday, if you're in town, I ain't gonna lie, I'm not gonna be there. And it's not because I don't want to get there, but it's because I ain't gonna get there until it's over. So, but the Rattler Roundup, FAMU versus West Florida celebration is going to be happening at the Holiday Inn 2003. That was an amazing year. Appalachian Parkway, Tallahassee, Florida, 32301. Tickets are $10. They have food, cash bar, raffle prizes, and the proceeds are going to go to the FAMU National Alumni Association, and the boosters are supposed to be taking donations there as well. So it's going to be opportunity to celebrate. Also, pregame, they're supposed to be unveiling the field, celebrating Ken Riley, NFL Hall of Famer Ken Riley, and his family supposedly supposed to be there as well. Got that on round one today when I did the show with St. Clair Moraine. And man, look who I saw at the game, and he was on the show today too, man. Look, just check him out. Quarterback Phi. Look, quarterback Omega. Sorry, like, check him out. So it's just if you know type deal. He's probably over there on the HBCU nightly right now. So, but man, great time. Look forward to talking to y'all and the instant reaction. Doubt we're gonna do a pre-show, but we're gonna do an instant reaction. And when I get home, we're gonna stop at a restaurant. I got to double check what restaurant I said I'm gonna stop at, take some pictures. Might even see if I can get some of the people on the show to talk about their spot. So good times to be had. See y'all Saturday, hopefully after a win at Bragg Memorial Stadium at Ken Riley Field in Tallahassee, Florida, from the highest of 7 hills in my hometown and your state capital if you're from Florida, Tallahassee, Florida. So it's always going to be, y'all already know, Fangs Up.
Yeah, baby, you know what time it is. Now let's get it started.
you kidding me? Unreal!
While our HBCUs are mostly known for academic rigor, community, they also know how to turn up.
Does he have it? Yes, he does!